Yo, what's good with you? Back in black with another Enlisted video. If you guys are new to the channel and you love shooting games just like me, don't forget to aim for that like button and shoot that subscribe button as well. It'll help you find better teammates and improve your skill-based matchmaking. At least I hope so. For today's weapon review, we are taking a look at the brand new TE-4 BR4 machine gun for the Japanese recently added to the game. For these weapon reviews, I do typically like to include a little bit of historical context for anybody who is a fan of social studies. So, back in 1928, the Japanese Army acquired a license to manufacture the British Vickers machine gun Type E, which aesthetically should be very obvious from the pan-shaped magazine. Initially, the machine gun was intended to be mounted on planes for defensive purposes, but the Japanese, getting a little ambitious, decided that they would make a flexible version of the weapon by adding a wooden foregrip and a rifle shoulder stock to the weapon, and of course making it more lightweight in general. Recorded usage of the weapon against infantry is very sparse, but in my opinion, if the Americans can get the M2 Stinger, then why can't the Japanese get something like this, am I right? So as far as in the actual game, the first thing that I did want to make a note of with this weapon is that it has some of the best iron sights in the game, generally speaking. Honestly, any weapon that sports anti-aircraft iron sights should serve you well due to the very wide angles of peripheral vision that you have, with very limited, if any, obstructions at all in comparison to most. And although the description of the weapon says that it is a machine gun with a medium rate of fire, rest assured you are essentially equipping the fastest firing Japanese machine gun, coming in at a smooth 800 rounds per minute. So that is definitely something that you should be taking advantage of by putting a lot of lead down range. And what better way to facilitate that than a 69 round drum magazine, which is also the largest capacity mag machine gun you can get for the Japanese faction, further justifying that late game unlock. And unfortunately, the muzzle velocity does come in tied for last in the category at 710 meters per second, and it pains me to say that there are no upgrades that you can equip to make that better in the future. Even though the bullet velocity is tied for worst in the category, I can't say that it was too detrimental of a stat in the grand scheme of things, because in practice, I never found that the flurry of bullets that I was putting out couldn't reach the target in a decent amount of time. And speaking of the bullets, up to about 175 meters, one bullet is all you're going to need to take down your target, and the second one will definitely put them out of commission faster than you can blink. But like many machine guns, once you get out to about 200, 300, 400 meters and beyond, the real challenge more so becomes being able to actually hit the target, which brings me to the recoil. Vertical recoil is listed at 34, while horizontal recoil clocks in at 17. But if I'm being completely honest, in practice, the gun does kind of kick all over the place, and I'm not sure if you can tell via the gameplay, but in my personal opinion, vertical recoil feels more so like 42 for the horizontal and then 35 for the vertical. It's to the point where I honestly wouldn't recommend full auto firing this weapon unless you are either crouched, prone, or sit up on a bipod. Another standout feature is the base reload speed at 3.6 seconds, which brings it to the middle of the pack as far as Japanese machine guns are concerned. But considering the fact that you get 69 rounds per magazine, I think the 3.6 is actually very solid, and when you upgrade the weapon, that actually does move down to 3.1, which is a pretty notable upgrade. Something I will say that I'm a little bit disappointed about when it comes to this gun is that the run speed is pretty much the same as any other heavy machine machine gun in that category, which I would have thought with all the modifications that the Japanese made to the weapon to make it super light, I just feel like it is something that you should definitely be able to move a little bit faster with, especially when you look at the stats and you can see that the weapon only weighs 9 pounds. If you're going to sit up here and tell me that somebody can't run faster with a 9-pound machine gun as opposed to a 15-pound machine gun, which is the Type 100, I would be a little bit taken back. And really quick again, before I get into the overall rating for the TE-4, I did want to do a little bit of compare and contrast to the next best thing, which again is the Type 100. I'm not 100% sure why, pun intended, but these weapons have very similar recoil stats, but despite that, I do find the Type 100 to be way easier to control, and I suppose you could chalk that up to the fire rate being way slower by comparison. But more importantly, the Type 100 has a shot deviation stat of 0, which is one of the most insane things that I have ever seen in Enlisted when it comes to machine guns, generally speaking. Meanwhile, on the flip side of that, the TE-4 has a shot deviation of 44, so a much larger spread on those bullets, generally speaking. Just something to consider when you're choosing the weapons. And personally, if you ask me which one I would choose between both of these, I'm rocking with the Type 100 all the way each time. And again, this isn't to say that the TE-4 is a bad weapon by any means whatsoever. I still may incorporate it into my machine gun squad's loadout here and there, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm honestly going to have to give the TE-4 a 6. Again, not a bad gun at all. I just think the main thing you need to consider when choosing this weapon versus the other top tier Japanese machine gun, do you want something that is slower firing and way more accurate? Or would you prefer a machine gun with way more bullets and shoots way faster, generally speaking, as well? And honestly, if I probably would have gave this gun a higher rating if it embodied that quote-unquote flexible role as it, historical context would describe it. But again, having a 9-pound weapon and still running the same speed as a weapon that is, 12, 13, 14, 15 pounds, that does tick it down a peg in my personal opinion. But I do want to ask, what do you guys think? Have you given it a try yet? Let me know down in the comment section, or if you plan on using it in the future, let me know if I was BSing. I do appreciate you guys for watching. Don't forget to aim for that like button, shoot that subscribe button as well. Help you find better teammates, improve your skill-based matchmaking. And yeah, Black Guy out.